We're here testing the 2012 YZF R1. It's a new development for the new model year. It's fresh off winning the Australian Superbike Championship, the Formula Extreme Championship, and it's got many updates for the new model year. The most important update is the traction control system. This mates with a Yamaha chip-controlled throttle and Yamaha chip-controlled intake, and it basically cuts in seamlessly as you power on. So it offers a much safer ride on the street, and it's much faster around the racetrack. So the bike is an inline four-cylinder motorcycle. It has immense horsepower, and all the control technologies basically allow the rider to put that power through to the track safely, or to the street, indeed safely. Yeah, one of the unique features of the R1 is its cross-plane crankshaft. This configuration allows the combustion torque of the engine to come forward and allow the rider a direct linear input between his right wrist and the rear wheel. So the cross-plane crankshaft actually highlights the torque effect and gives you extra grip on the rear wheel. And when you combine that with the control technologies and the softer rear suspension that's been introduced for 2012, it gives the rider immense levels of traction, makes you feel much more secure on the track, and it won't slip away from you on the street either. So what they've really produced here is a machine that gives you very much more confidence than last year's bike.
Well, here we are, the very sunny launch of the 2012 R1. This model is noted for its addition of traction control this year, and I guess Yamaha, on their brilliance, have decided to come to the wettest day in history and give us a go on the bikes. So here we are at the farm, a secret location I can tell you nothing more about, apart from the fact it's an awesome closed road circuit. Now, as you can see behind me, it's not very nice riding bikes out there today, so if you're going to ride a bike, you want a bike that's safe and controllable. And the R1 this year, with the addition of the traction control, is aiming towards that. So we've got two set-up bikes here. We've got one with full wets on and one with just the road tyres on. Obviously the full wets on a grippy, well-laid tarmac stretches we've got behind us. They're pretty awesome to start with, and to be honest, you're hardly worrying the traction control even on its most finite setting. It's got a 6-way adjustable set on it, which is controlled on the fly on the handlebar switch. 1 to 6, 6 being the most where traction control is cutting in earliest, and 1 being there's hardly any control there at all. On the road tyres, it's very easy to see the little orange light on the dash, which is the indication that the traction control is working. There's the biggest problem with traction control is basically the rider. You know, for 25 years I've been twisting the throttle, and you're waiting for something to slip, and you're waiting to pull the throttle back on. Traction control means you don't have to do that, but it's so hard to reset a mind that has been schooled in the art of throttle control rather than traction control. So you'd think it'd be a very easy thing to do, just go into a corner, go past the apex and whack the throttle on. But in reality, on a wet day, on a new circuit, on a new bike, you can't quite give it as much as you'd like. I think it'd be a lot easier on a dry day. Obviously the speeds would increase, but you'd have a lot more confidence in what the bike was going to do. And on a dry day, even at higher speeds, the back wheel starts to spin. It doesn't affect your input as much as it does on a wet track at slower speeds. So unfortunately it's an inconclusive test today, but Having said that, there are times when you know this technology is never going to do you any harm. The only downside I can see about it is if riders rely on traction control and basically ride around ham-fisted. Apart from that, it's all good. And as you can see behind me, the special edition 2012 R1 is a very, very sexy bike. And if you want to pay, I think it's £1.5 extra for that unique colour scheme, you can know that there's only 20 coming into Australia, and there's only 2,000 worldwide. So yeah, it's improvement rather than revolution for the R1, and the traction control will hopefully be one of those bits of technology that you don't know until it's actually saved you. So it's not so much an everyday riding aid, it's your assurance really rather than anything else.
Yeah, obviously, you know, with it on the full setting, it was pretty intrusive, but you didn't feel it. It doesn't chop the throttle like some do, like the older traction controls used to. It just more modulates the engine revs. So, yeah, I'm not going to try and tell you it was stopping me from getting totally sideways out there because I wasn't pushing it that hard because I don't want to die. But yeah, it's definitely the anti-wheelie worked really well and unintrusively. Didn't slam me nuts into the tank by cutting the power altogether. It just sort of eased off power as the front wanted to come up on the crest on the back straight, and that little orange light blinking on and off let you know when it was working. And I usually ended up with it on about 3, which meant if I made a mistake it was going to help catch it, and that's something that's important to me. And on the full setting it seemed to be on all the time. It was just an orange light flashing though, you really couldn't feel it that much.
Well, it's definitely a big change from the last bike. The traction control, you know, especially in a day like today, it's pouring with rain. You know, we went out in 5 and 6 levels first, which you know, pretty much gave us a feel for what it does. You know, it has a little bit of wheelie control, which brought it down quite quickly, which is good. But once you get used to the conditions, setting 3 or 4 was fantastic in the rain. You know, the engine is very, very tractable. That's what I like about the R1. You know, a lot of other top-end sport bikes are really high in the rev range, whereas this, for the road rider, you can punch it out of corners. Even though you might be in the wrong gear, it's still got all that torque to get you away. And overall, it's a really, really good package. I think they're going to sell well.